Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Rusty here. Welcome back to Impact on MX Live. We are night 13 or something ridiculous like that. We're still here, still going on. I mean, the coronavirus is still happening, so we're still here. It's the way it works. Hope you guys are well. Hope you're good. If you're in the chat, say good day. Tell us what you're up to. What's your day's been like? What you're drinking? I'm on port tonight out of a fancy port glass. Looks very flash. Anyway, that's what's going on. Again, thanks for joining us. Thanks for all the guys who have been flicking me messages and comments. That's really good. We've got a big week ahead of us this week. Tomorrow night, Ben Jarrett, who is a regular on the show, is coming on. We're going to talk about YouTube, about filming yourself, about using video to enhance your shooting, but also to put stuff out there to help people enjoy shooting, get around it, be able to grow the sport, all those sort of things. So that's going to be a really interesting conversation. And Ben is also going to pick the winner of the weirdest shooting position competition finally that we've done. So you have like about 20 hours to make your last entries. I had another 5 come through today, which is huge. But tomorrow night, that's hardline. We are closing it. We're closing it a few hours before the show, and Ben will choose a winner tomorrow night, and we'll announce what they get. It really depends on who wins, really. If it's someone we know, they won't get much, and if it's someone we don't know, we'll give them something generous. Anyway, that is happening Wednesday night. Wednesday night, we've got Simo from Honey HQ podcast. That will be bring your rum, strap yourself in. That should be good fun. Thursday night, Simon Plush is talking reloading. He sent me the detail. I didn't even understand what he's going to talk about. Look forward to it. Be able to learn something. Friday night, special guest. Won't announce who it is, but anyway, that will be very exciting. That's going to be worth a laugh. Some of you guys will know him. Right. To a sponsorship side of things, thanks to Projectile Warehouse. Again, you can save 5% on the new website using the code ID Live, ID LIVE, with the number 5 on the end. ID Live 5 will get you 5% off website wide. That will be good. Got some other sponsors coming on board shortly with some other discount codes. So stay tuned for all of that. Tonight, my guest is Kerry Adams. He's connected with a number of things. The most prominent one, I believe, is the Bloke. Really good way to grab a generic name and just make himself the man. That was the other option. The Bloke, well done, good stuff. He's also done a fair bit in the shooting world under precision shooter and all sorts of interest topics that I've seen him do videos and blogs and stuff on. So we're going to get into a few of them and really good. Now, I know New Zealand's in a very unique situation at the moment, although more and more countries are heading that way into the lockdown. So I guess he is probably hasn't seen any other human being apart from immediate family for more than however long it's been. So this will be a treat. Well, I guess he probably doesn't get to see you guys in the chat, but at least he gets to hear from you. Anyway, Kerry, I am sure you were there, mate. Let's flick on over. And how are you tonight?
I'm very good. Yeah, lockdown is treating me well.
Yeah, and all your hair fell out during lockdown. Is that?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I when you asked for that photo of me, I was like, well, no one's going to recognize me if I send a photo in the last couple of days or the last week anyway. So I have an old photo with a beard and with hair. Yeah. So yeah, it wasn't intentional. It wasn't sort of part of the lockdown plan. I just decided to actually shave anyway, a beard of like six years for other reasons. And then thought the hair looked long, needed a trim, and was starting with a trim. And then before you know it, I've shaved it all off. So, not the first time I've done it, won't be the last. So,
at least the last time I had that happen to me, there was a lot more beverages involved. And I ended up with a mohawk, and I still have it. And it's about that long now. But anyway, it's very, very rare for me to get the hairspray out and do it. It takes about an hour and a half to do that. I've only done it twice, I think. So anyway. Oh, good, mate. Now tell us a little bit more about the various projects you've been involved with, because you have, sure. I mean, probably the thing I can be accused of as well is having connection to many brands, and I think you're probably the New Zealand equivalent of that as well. We know you from various reasons and names. Give us a rundown. What keeps you busy?
At the moment, mainly gaming. Ironically, it's all come to a bit of a grinding halt in the last couple of weeks. I mean, I was at the point where I was quite regularly going out and setting rifles up for guys and basically doping them out and doing courses and training and stuff like that. And that was sort of at the time through Precision Shooter, which. So what happens, probably like yourself, is I have an idea and I get a project going, then I have another great idea, and I have another great idea, and I have another great idea, and then you go, this is ridiculous. So then you collapse everything down to one. Yeah, it's familiar, isn't it? Yeah. And then you go, oh, but I've got a great idea for this, and it expands back out and collapses down again. And I've done it, not even just the shooting stuff. It's been through everything.
Yeah.
A bit of a background, I suppose, which might give you context for why I do some of the stuff. Prior to getting involved in the hunting shooting, I was actually a DJ and worked in studios for like a decade plus.
Yeah, right. Yeah, nice.
So, and this is more how I looked probably back then. So 3 o'clock in the morning, you'd find me doing the sound in a nightclub. But I was also doing tutorials and training and teaching people how to set up and use their studios, which involved, and we're talking, 15 years ago, I suppose, is video stuff. We were looking at playing, when video and the web was just coming through, early days of YouTube. We did some we did some recorded and then broadcast semi-live stuff from studios, interviewing people and stuff. Mm-hmm. So I'd always done it and I enjoyed doing it. And basically, as I sum it up, I like to learn stuff, document it, and then get it out so other people can kind of make sense of it. So I'm new, really. I'm a new shooter and I'm quite new to this whole thing. It's just that I kind of go in both feet, learn as much as I can, absorb, and then try and digest it and spit it out so other people can make sense of it. I hope.
Yeah.
I hope.
Cool.
So the bloke is the main thing that I focus on these days with time and everything. The bloke, like you said, the name was, I was just looking for a name and I thought, well, what's something I can kind of, it covers everything off, and it was actually kind of a pushback from the term of the traditional Kiwi bloke, being blokey and being, these things. I'm like, well, that's not really what I am, but I am a bloke, so let's just claim that and do that.
Yep.
Yeah, and then I battle with this notion of, do I include all the competition shooting stuff and the ballistics and that into the bloke stuff, which was also tramping and outdoors because it was a crossover. So, I occasionally would have somebody go, well, it's very gun orientated at the moment. I'm like, well, it's the technical stuff I love.
Yep.
So that's where Precision Shooter kind of came, and that's where we did some of the competitions under and a few bits and pieces. There was e-commerce under Gear Locker, which was a bit of a challenge. I mean, I think what I should have done was either stay in the old industry I did, which I made quite good money on and shot on the weekends, like most of the sane people get to do and keep it as a hobby.
The normal thing. Yeah.
Yeah, the normal people. But no, I thought I'd go, try and do something else. And probably like, New Zealand is probably a strange place to do it anyway because of population base, just simple numbers.
Yep.
And then Auckland, which is where I live on top of it, is in some ways nearly the most ridiculous place to do it as well, because we've got the population, but we don't have the land. So especially for long range stuff, we don't have the places to go do it unless it's private. So that's been an ongoing challenge for me. So,
okay. Yeah, very, very good. And so when did you start shooting then, if you're relatively new to the shooting side of things?
I got to figure out, I didn't have kids, and my oldest kid is nearly 6, and that was how old my beard was because she had never seen me without a beard. So
how did that go down?
I'd been, what's that?
How did that go down?
How'd that go?
Yeah.
I'll send you a link to the video.
Oh, good.
Yeah, it was quite entertaining. And every now and then they still turn around. My bit older girl turns around and she's like, I'm still not sure. I'm just like, yep, neither, but okay.
Yep.
But I'd been hunting and shooting a bit for a couple of years before that. So I basically, I'm just trying to think of the time, because I'm getting back into gaming at the moment because I'm locked in at home. I've been thinking about this timeline. So I was looking at getting into hunting, because at the time my partner was working for a big supermarket chain and involved with a few projects involving the butcheries and meat.
Yep.
And had a few insights there that I was like, let's just try and find maybe alternative sources for that. and then also I'd been playing Armour, which is a sort of a military simulation game quite a bit. I was quite
Sure.
into my gaming side of things.
Yep.
And that is fairly involved with it. And it dawned on me one day that I'd got my license. I'd gone out for the hunting license and shot once or twice and done a little bit of hunting, done a couple of courses. I had attended a few courses on it. But then it occurred to me while sitting there Sunday morning playing online with the clan I played with, the group of players where we played every Sunday, that I could be out every Sunday at a range shooting, the real thing.
Yep.
So I did a quick search, as you do, a Google search, and realised you could actually own pistols in New Zealand, which I didn't know at that point. And you could basically do IPSC or the variations of that, running and gunning with pistols. So I went and got my license for that and got sidetracked into IPSC pistol shooting for a while. Realised I'd gotten into this for hunting reasons and hadn't done much to that.
Yes.
Then got back into that, but then got dragged into the long range side of things because it's just my personality. So yeah.
Yep. You like that more technical aspect and the details and numbers and stuff?
Yeah. And I without getting too in depth into it, I did a lot of martial arts as a kid, and to me that side of things is the martial. To me, is that's what I found interesting. To me was the long range stuff of the focus that was required for it and the technical side of it as well. It's that combination that I really liked.
Yeah, cool. And so you went on to run courses for people. That's
So and it was interesting because I used to get a bit of stick for this because guys were basically, well, who are you to do these courses? And I was like, well, I'm just showing these guys how to mount a scope, zero rifle, and some real fundamental stuff. And I'm not claiming to be anything more than that. Never have. But the guys who are coming out were guys who were way at where I had started. So I was like, right, let's just try and condense what I've learned so far and get you up to where I am.
Yes.
Then you're off. And many guys who come through possibly already shoot better than me, but just that some of the technical details that they haven't quite ever had explained to them,
Yep.
I was saying recently, someone I often explain to these guys, they'll go out at a real, their first, we'll call it a tactical style rifle that's got a reticle in it that's got information on there, but they've never put one and one together that the dials and the reticle, the numbers in there relate. And you just sit them through, explain it, do a real simple drill where they dial one, hold one, or something like that, and they realize the two things are related, and it's a light bulb moment. And it's like, done. That's all I need to be doing. I'm not here to. So to those. And part of it is if somebody else was doing them, I would have gone to them all, but they didn't exist. So I figured, well, I better go start doing it.
Yeah, good on you.
Long-term plan to bring the guys from overseas down to do them as well that I wanted to learn from.
Yeah.
So
set up that. I think I relate to you because when I started running training courses, it was very much the exact same thing. We're like, well, I know this and these guys don't, and I'm no pro, but I can teach them that, and that'll just save them 9 years of shooting that we can cover off in a couple of days, and they'll learn all the general stuff, and then that progressed significantly from there. But that was very much how it started, and I copped the same things that you went through. People going, well, who are you, and why do you know anything? I don't, mate, but I know this much more that's relevant, and I can teach you that. And over time that grew. But
and the thing is as well is there's plenty of people who would know more than me, and without there's a difference between having the knowledge and being able to teach or to show somebody that as well, I guess, is the other side of it.
Yeah. And
that's what I pay a lot of attention to. It's like, well, okay, I can't teach them all this. It's only got to be small bits. And how do I best get that across to people? And that's the thing. And the best way to learn is to teach.
Yep.
That's the other sneaky bit. I force myself to have to learn and keep my game up.
It's so true.
Because I've got to show it to other people. So I'm constantly online just searching for sucking more information in and filtering it as well.
Yeah, I found that when I was running courses regularly, I was at the top of my game for knowledge. I was paying one of the guys who was training. He was on a day a week for just research. He would just spend a day in the field shooting, testing theories that we'd come up with, testing ideas, and we were in a position to be able to do that. That was amazing to be in that position, and not having done that for a long time now. I know my knowledge hasn't necessarily slipped. things have progressed a lot, and in the long range world, I'm sure you would think things progress a lot in the last 5 years.
Yeah, it does. I guess people also need to be careful that they're not chasing the technology or the latest fad as well,
Mm.
because people will get, so wound up into that. And I was talking to a guy recently who had I set up a rifle for him that had one of the Swarovski DSs on top of it, which is the range
Yep.
finding and ballistics all built into it. And he wanted it for a hunting rifle. But talking to him now, he said, "Oh, I almost wish I hadn't got that now that I've got a bit more interested in ballistics, because now I want to swap that out for a scope that's got a turret on it. And I understand what MIL and MOA now is.
Yes.
So I kind of want to go backwards. You'd almost say backwards in technology because his knowledge has increased. So, but I deal with other guys who are only going to go out twice a year, that they don't want to know any of that. They just want a gun that they point, they dial a set number and shoot, and that's it. So depends what they're after.
Exactly right, mate. Exactly right. Have you had much to do with some of the comps over there? Because some of them look absolutely magic, and we did run a couple of field matches here, but nothing like what can be done over there.
No, they are magic. The problem is the closest one is 4.5, 5 hours away from me.
Oh, that's just down. That's down the shops for us.
Yes, I know it is. And now I refer back to the 2 small children that I have.
Yeah, fair.
So there was that factor, and also last year and a bit, I'm one of the how do I phrase? I'm just trying to think. I contract to via the Mountain Safety Council to the police for the purpose of doing some of the firearms licensing courses and testing, and all of that's on the weekend. So I've got 2 out of 4 weekends gone, basically.
Okay. Yep.
And then you're weighing in family life and everything. Anyway, so I have a bit. I mean, probably who's still around, I don't know if the term is Godfather, but anyway, but the guy's probably doing the most of them down here is a guy called Simon Gillis. And yeah, the shoots they do central, I suppose it's central North Island, are phenomenal. And then the guys down in the South Island, because they've just got all the space. That's the thing.
Okay. Yeah.
They can do the long range. Yeah.
That's where the Mountain Challenge stuff happens.
Correct. The Vortex. Yep.
Yeah.
I think it's the Vortex Mountain
Pretty
Challenge.
Sure it is.
Better check that. But anyway, the Mountain Challenge, and yeah, those shoots and the stuff down at Sparrowhawk, and they do them quite regularly because they've got the facilities to do it, so they can. And you notice that the shoots down there, they really like to shoot out far.
Yes.
And haven't maybe adapted as much as the oddball positional shooting that you'd see more in the central north or up here that we would do, because we don't have a distance, so we've got to do more of the shorter times and oddball, put them in a weird position. So you see as you go down.
We have the space, but we're not allowed to. We're not allowed to use it. So we are in very much the same thing. We use a lot of oddball positions and time restrictions. That is hopefully changing, but we haven't really had the distance to play with at this stage. But.
No, well, we're now in limbo as well, because before we had the COVID issue, which has now stopped a lot of it. Before that, of course, we had all the changes with laws and stuff in New Zealand, and one of those that's still sitting around is the potential registration of rangers and what that means as well.
Yep.
But the problem is we don't know. Is really the answer. There's plenty of rumors. I've got a few theories on it. Some are better, some are worse. But even before that, in Auckland anyway, we either had ranges that were the deerstalker hunting ranges, which were up to 200 meters tops.
Yep. And
you really can just shoot prone. You're not allowed to shoot oddball. If you dragged a barricade up or a tire up onto the mound and started shooting off it, you'd be thrown out.
Get some weird looks.
Partly because of standing orders, and partly probably because of the old boys just what is going on here. Mm-hmm. You have F-class rangers, which they're shooting out a lot further, but it's same sort of thing. Often the standing orders, which ties in probably to what we're allowed to do, is they can't put steel out. They can only shoot to that known berm with that backstop that's already established. So that's always been a challenge. So the comps we've done up here in Auckland that I've been involved in were all 22 competitions, field shooting 22 comps.
Nothing wrong with them though. They're definitely good fun.
No.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, they were awesome because you'd have on a day, you'd have a guy who had never gone to a comp before and was primarily a hunter coming along because he could see that it was kind of like hunting.
Yep.
And then at the other end, you had guys with their big competition rigs who were very serious about it, but they'd all mingled together, and it was often a lot closer than you might have thought it would be.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, fantastic, mate. Very, very good. Now, I saw you were live streaming a game before, and you mentioned it before, this Armour 3. And I happened to catch it while it was going on Facebook and looked at it, and I'm like, is this a game or a simulator? Because it looked... tell me about it.
It's a simulator. Yeah, it's a simulator.
Okay.
Well, someone hit me up on the live stream with a comment. I wasn't sure if he meant that the ballistic calculator that I had on screen or the actual game was real, and I don't know what he thought. Anyway.
Yeah.
So Armour. I played Armour 2, I think it was, back in the couple of years ago, and that's what I was playing online. Now, Armour, the series is, I forget what the other version is. Armour is basically the civilian version of a military simulator that's used, or was at least being used, by the New Zealand Army. I don't know if the US were using it. People overseas have another version, and they are using it for the military training purposes.
Okay.
So that's Armour, and then on top of it, you've got the community mods, or the guys who've done modifications, and they've strapped basically at the moment an advanced ballistics engine over top of the thing.
Yeah, right.
So
okay.
the what I was showing on that stream, and I didn't get too much into it, but it's allowing for Coriolis, it's allowing for spin drift. There's aerodynamic jump in there. You're either going to love it or hate it, because if you kind of love that sort of stuff, you can sit there for 10 minutes sorting out one shot, because you get you range,
yep.
You get your azimuth, you get the kestrel out, you get your ballistic calculator out, you're cross-referencing, and then you take that shot. But yeah, and it's little things like the scopes now are in mil or MOA, and the reticles are actually scaled correctly. So if you see a splash, you can make a correction that actually works as well. So yeah, it's a pretty cool little system, and I'm just using it just to keep my brain ticking over the right way for it, because if you don't do that and keep your workflow of some kind going,
yeah, so it's really sad. I'm just trying to bring up the video of it, which I think I have here.
Well, I've been playing it, and then I thought, well, for me, it was a good way to explain maybe some of the stuff that goes on in the reticle and relationship between the turrets.
Yep.
Again, saying, hey, measure the reticle, dial the turret. Look, it's done exactly what you thought it would do.
Yeah, okay. I'm just I'm trying to find a position.
It's a very big hole. You may fall down.
I highly am likely to look into. I've just got your live stream coming up here on the screen next to us, and it's just, I mean, it looks really fairly realistic, and watching you do it before. Would you rate it as a decent sort of training or practice sort of tool?
Yeah, I mean, look, you can't feel the wind. That's obviously a big thing. You can't feel the environment factors. It's not going to teach you your positioning, everything like that. But if you're trying to get your head around what things do in regards to ballistic, like the math side of it, is valid, because the maths is what runs computer games, runs everything, you know. So that's valid. There's a few things that slightly bug me compared to how we do things, or I would do things the real way, but on the whole, it's great.
Okay.
And you'll find you get, probably, if you think about it, somebody's probably done a plugin that will bring that gun or that particular system in. You know, I mean, I was thinking about it before I came on. It's like, would I build like a PRS style stage or something in there? And it won't work for that because of the movement. Yeah, it just wouldn't. Sure. I don't think. But yeah, I don't know. Hey, I don't like the really twitchy, fast FPS first person shooter stuff. I like stuff that's a little bit slower, so it appeals to me. Whereas other people, I'm sure, would play it for half an hour and go, what the hell is going on? This is boring.
Well, I've got a couple of guys in the chat saying that they have seen it used at School of Armory at one of the bases here. So it's, I mean, it's clearly no slouch. It does. I'd never seen it before. There's one website which has some sort of little single shot simulator that I've been on and tried. I couldn't find it if I tried, but
I saw. Look, I'll put it this way: I was reading an article recently, and a guy's done. He's taken the real world counterparts
Mm-hmm.
and the actual guns, and done comparisons back and forth as to how are the drops equivalent, are the muzzle velocities, and they're accounting for. They're building in, and I don't know how they work it exactly, but they're building in variance in muzzle velocity out of the barrel.
Okay.
So there's your guns have an SD or an ES. You don't have to really account for it, but not every shot lands in the same place. Like I say, spin drift is in there. You can run different grain weight in your projectiles.
We're just seeing a shot at the moment where you've got a drop chart up next to your rifle. Yeah, yep. Okay. So
and the guy who did the testing said a lot of them, like I think there's a intervention in there, the SHATAC.
Oh yeah, yep.
And he got the data on the real world one and on the modeling that they've done in Armour, and said yes, it's pretty much bang on how it would work. If you figure out your range and what your dial needs to be and used an actual intervention to do it, it'd be pretty damn close.
Yeah, wow.
So
fascinating. For all those guys who are watching who are missing shooting, I mean, this is no replacement by any stretch. But perhaps it could be an option to at least keep those skills honed, like you said, just to keep your brain ticking over, keep you thinking about some of that gear.
Yeah, and I mean, look, the other thing is I'm not, I don't have a military background of any kind, but a lot of the guys I played with did, and they actually enjoyed it because you have different ways. Different guys play it different ways, and we had the group I was played with. The guy who ran it would quote it as serious fun. So if you do something weird, like really weird, no one's going to growl you because that's not how they do it in the military, and that's not how we do radio comms or anything like that.
Sure.
But they do have a certain amount of structure.
Okay.
So the guys coming to the military, it was familiar to them, and they kind of liked that sort of system as well because, you know, and then wrapped around that, it's still a game, so there's still a pile of trash talking going on and all bits and pieces, but it's just it's just gaming, but for adults. I don't know.
Very, very good. Yeah. There's a few, I think there's a few ex-servicemen who are chatting away in the chat about the various simulation options they did use in their day.
Yep. And there's Australian, there's New Zealand servers as well. So there's groups of guys playing down here. So some lag time or latency is not so much of an issue because we're not playing with guys over in the States all the time. We can just play locally.
Oh, very good. Now, in terms of rifles, I mean, not that you probably would have got them out of the safe anytime recently, but what are you running in terms of if you've got a competition gun or a long range gun at all? Have you got anything running at the moment, or
yes
just in general? Give us the collection.
Well, there's not much of a collection. This is the irony of it. In the last couple of years, I suppose, I've mainly been shooting other people's guns anyway. Every now and then I need to pull a rifle out and actually have to zero the thing. So I don't have, and I've never really been much of a collector of firearms. I enjoy the technology. There's plenty of guns I'd like to have, but it's not necessarily something I've piled a pile of money into.
Yeah.
So until recently, the other thing is, which I'm a lefty, okay? So that's the other little factor in there, which you've given me stick for before.
Yep, the last time.
But until, well, you know, every time. Until recently, my main competition rifle was a Tikka TAC-A1 in 6.5.
Yeah, perfect.
But it was a right-handed one. So, and actually when Bronte was down, that's the gun we shared, and he shot it better than me. Bastard.
But, isn't that the worst when someone borrows a gun and then beats you with it?
No, I suppose.
Let me clarify. Isn't it the worst when Bronte beats you? let's say that. That's
right. We made up for it for the amount of shit talking we did on the way back up anyway, so it's all good.
Good. Someone keeping it humble. Yeah, nice. Fantastic.
Yep. But yeah, so that for a long time that was it. I've my first rifle, and now what I'm going back to, ironically, is an old Remington 700 Action 308 in a XLR Element chassis, I think it is. That's all left-handed for me.
Yep.
And Proof Research sent me down a barrel a while ago, so that's a 6mm. So I'm going to take that rifle, and I'm weighing up whether I just true up the action.
Yep.
Or replace the action, which it's a money thing as much as anything else. Sure, I love a full custom action, but at the same time, truing up the action might be enough to put a Proof Research 6mm barrel on there. And I will probably leave it in the chassis for a while. But there's a few guys down here doing carbon stocks, more traditional style stocks.
Sure.
And I find myself actually leaning more and more going back to a more traditional style stock away from a chassis again. At the moment, it's just my just thinking and feel. So, yeah, I think once again we're out of lockdown and I can get stuff to a gunsmith and do all that sort of stuff, I'll sort of be progressing down that and just building a good comp rifle. Have my hunting rifle, have my 22, which is I've got a Lithgow, LA 101, again, left-handed version. It's a phenomenal gun. And just focus on those. You know, there's I've got a 1901 Enfield sitting in there. I've got a pump action. I've got a few other oddballs, but I don't really have much in the way of a gun collection.
That's still good amount. Yeah, I'm always of the opinion, for me anyway, and if people want to collect, that's up to them. But if I haven't used the gun for, in the last 12 months or haven't worked on it in the last 18 months, I'll look to move it on because I want to have guns that I use, is my sort of theory.
Well, I'm really big on the idea of that one gun that you know and the one scope that you know as well. That's the other thing, is just knowing when you reach up and you do something that muscle, neuro connections, muscle memory, whatever you want to call it, you just know. And if every gun's got a different scope on it, some are in mil, some are MOA, they click differently, they do different reticles. So yeah, I really like the idea of getting down to a rifle and just using it, finding a good load, stop doing load development, and just learn that gun and shoot the thing. Because I guess that's the thing, is I've got all the reloading kit over here as well that I can measure down to 0.02 grain, which is, half a kernel of gunpowder.
Yeah.
But I don't shoot that well. So
you and me both.
Yeah.
We had that exact discussion last night, I think, about how you can get hung up on the stuff that doesn't, you've got other bigger problems and you're just trying to take out that little thing. Yeah.
Well, one of my early mentors, a very smart guy, really nice guy, Christian, who was kind enough to basically take me under his wing and teach me some basic, get me going. Yeah. He will go down to every single, he's very pedantic about that kind of stuff. He's a gunsmith, very, very good gunsmith, very, very focused. Yep. And he will cut those kernels in half. But that's because he wants to know that when something doesn't go right, it's him.
Yeah, and then there's nothing wrong. You see guys who have some money and they want to buy the best thing they can for that exact reason. I get it. It makes sense. You buy the best thing you can and then realize that everything from here on in is you. And
all the excuses have gone.
All the excuses are gone. And you have bought your way to humility, because that is all that's going to be going on. Which is not a if you've got the money to do it, it's not a bad way to do it. But that progressing your way up and working your way through gear, you will learn a lot, and you will learn. You get a broader knowledge base, I think.
Well, you also it was something I noticed back in the music industry days as well. As guys would come in and they would buy a high end whatever it was, or just wanted top end recording studio, just big amount of money, everything, But by sometimes having the cheaper or the simpler stuff, you get to appreciate and you get to learn those improvements and what each bit of equipment does for you.
Yes.
In the meantime, whereas sometimes you jump straight into high-end gun, and this is I'm still trying to figure out. I talked about it a bit on a video recently, and I'm working on an article. Was about this whole every gun in the world needs to be 1 MOA, even if I'm hunting deer at 50 meters.
Yep.
It's like, well, no, it doesn't. It really doesn't. And I've had guys who are like, oh, it's not shooting half an MOA. I can't shoot quarter MOA. It's like, have you shot it for a hunting side of things? Have you shot any animals with it yet? No. Well, it's a bush gun. What are you worried about?
Yeah.
So, different if you're doing bench rest, different if you're doing extreme long range, all these things. But,
Yeah, no, absolutely. For the purpose, it's good.
I'm impressed by your. Was it port or sherry? Did you say in the end? It's port.
Oh, this is port. This is This is port.
Okay, you didn't know what this was.
Lion Red. No, but I guess I since have found out that I'm okay with not knowing what it was, because that is.
I think you are.
That is your cheap rubbish beer over there. Is that right?
It's lovely. Oh,
You look like you're enjoying it.
the Hecky bottle. No, it's good. It's I grew up drinking Lion Red and Ice. It's those things. It's only we've got to remember in the last couple of years is when all the boutique breweries and stuff and the craft beers have come through. For the longest time, it didn't exist. So the Lion Reds and stuff like that would be the staples. So, but yeah, my birthday last year, my brother was kind of like, well, what do I get him? Because what the hell does he need? So he got me a swapper crate. With the swapper bottles of Lion Red. So,
what is a swapper crate? I don't know that term.
Don't really?
Really? I don't know. This could
really?
be
Okay.
This could be cultural, or this could be me being a beer snob. Either's highly possible. So
I would have thought. I'm just trying to think what the equivalent. I won't pull it up. Well, basically, that's a swapper bottle, right? Which is like a 745 mils. So the idea is you have a crate which has got 12.
Yep.
Dozen of them in there, and when they're empties, you take them over and you swap it for a crate full of full beers.
That sounds like a great deal. I assume you have to pay.
It's a great. Yeah, well, yeah, they do actually expect you to pay for it. Yeah.
That was in the details.
But the idea is this, and this has been around. Like my old man ran the swapper crates and stuff, so it was a cheaper way because you're not buying the bottles. It's recycling, so it's nice and green. I mean, I'm surprised in some ways the whole craft beer industry hasn't jumped more on this. I suppose they have they call them the growlers, which are the bigger versions of them. But yeah, so a swapper crate. So it was always like you go to a party, you take a swapper crate, dump it down, and then you drink the entire swapper crate.
Gotcha. So we will in SA anyway, in the state I live in, you can take your cans and bottles in, and you get money back for them. So perhaps we do it in a different way, but we perhaps achieve a very similar goal. Which is most of the craft beer over here at least comes in cans, less bottles these days. I think it's cheaper to do that. So
you can.
We still get paid for
it. I know. Well, the funny thing, I mean, my favourite beer is actually I think they're brewing it locally, but until recently it was an Aussie beer anyway, which was the Little Creatures.
Oh, very good choice. So,
yeah, so just for a drinking beer, that would be by far my favourite beer. And then there's local beers, which you just have a bottle of it because it's like drinking a bottle of wine. It's an experience beer.
Yes.
And then there's drinking beer. So
there's two Little Creatures breweries in Australia on polar opposite ends of the country. One in Geelong near Melbourne, and one all the way over near Perth, just south of Perth. And I have been fortunate enough to go to both, and both were good. Both are very good. So if you ever get over here and you're ever near any of those places, we'll definitely hook that up. It's a good place to be. Have you ever been to Australia?
Yeah, a few times. Years ago as a visit, I was lucky enough to do a tour up the Red Centre. So it was a camping tour. So went through, right through the middle. Slept Cooper Pedy, all that side of things as well. Right, sleeping on top of or under the coach, all bits and pieces. So that, and then in the previous life in my day job, we had an office over in Aussie in Sydney, so I'd pop over there every now and then to check how everything was going as well. So
very good. Now we're getting some discussion in the chat about using suppressors for comps and that sort of thing, which is not something we have experience over here doing.
True. Yes.
Is it common to see there?
Yeah. Well, look, I tell pretty much everyone I come across to buy a suppressor unless you don't really. For some reason, unless the one exception, I suppose, being is the big rigs like 338 Shaytax, that sort of stuff. Well, let's get all, and we're plugged up and earmuffs and everything.
Yeah.
Or guys building lightweight mountain guns. So suppressors for comps, I suppose, like my 308 until recently when I first got it, it's always had a brake on it. I've always shot with a brake, one of Greg's Terminator brakes, T2, I think it was. These days I'll shoot it with a suppressor on it. If you're doing a lot of barricade stuff, then pulling it in and out, you've just got a longer barrel. That's probably the one downside of it. Yep. On the plus side, I mean, I still wonder, and I still feel myself, is I think I shoot suppressed guns better. They have more recoil, logically, if you really compare, just the physics of it. Yes, they don't reduce as much as a brake, but not having that shockwave in your face and just reactively, I find, especially if I'm not shooting as much as I would like to be, that a suppressor is just going to be easier, more comfortable to shoot.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I think that's. I mean, I've shot a few in the US the times I've been there, and I
Mm.
think you're right. Not having that big noise and the wave in your face,
Yeah.
you're much less inclined to flinch or even just partially
Yep.
flinch. I think you're much more
Yep.
comfortable behind it. What are the? Is it? A few guys in the chat are saying it's about 50-50 on use of brakes. Sorry, use of suppressors at comps. Is that about right
Yep.
that you've seen?
Yeah. Yeah, I suppose it would be right. I mean, it's always interesting as well. The other thing is if you've got a squad and they're all shooting suppressed,
Yeah,
you're just going to have a nicer day.
that's
Because
actually
often we're spotting,
yeah.
or it's the thing, it's easier, it's just more pleasant.
Mm,
Whereas especially if you're trying to help, maybe you're spotting targets, or depending on the comp, sometimes we're allowed to spot and help, or we
yeah.
just semi. If you're, especially guys who aren't used to spotting a lot, and they station themselves where they're looking up the ports of a muzzle brake, which is quite common, because they're like, oh, I need to spot from here. I'm like, I
Yeah,
wouldn't, but okay, cool. And you see
yeah. Yep.
them, doing this with their spotting scope. Yeah, but yeah, be even. Whereas other guys, this is the thing. People used to give me stick. It's like, well, why would you have a 308 with a brake? Why would you have a 6.5 or a 6 mil with a brake on it?
Hmm. Hmm.
And normally that's people that haven't been shooting a lot of bigger strings of fire, where they're doing multiple rounds. So it's like, yeah, okay, it's cool, different purposes.
Yep.
Yeah, I suppose it's about 50-50. I don't know about the boys down south, really. I can only speak for the guys up here, but I'd say it's pretty even. I mean, most guys, if they're coming from a hunting background, probably running suppressors.
Hmm.
Guys who are three-gun, multi-gun maybe background, because we've had crossover from those guys who are shooting the ARs when we
Yep.
still had them. They would be running brakes often because they're used to running brakes on the or compensators on the ARs as well. So it sort of just depends on the person's background as to which way they lean.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, no, it would be one that we would like to get here. It's Unfortunately at
Yeah.
this stage it's going to take a little bit, but just for that, for plinking of the range and bits and pieces, I know that a number of the guys at the comps in the US have gone away from using suppressors, much more inclined to use brakes for that
Mm.
recoil reduction. I mean, they're changing from like a punchier 6 mil down to a lighter 6 mil for recoil reduction. Then you throw a suppressor on it and you've sort of undone some of your good work. So I can see that happens, but
Yeah.
yeah,
I guess also if you're shooting week in week out and you just got used to that, the
yep,
amount of concussion, and you lost a bit of your hearing probably as well, but mainly you got used to that concussion,
yep,
then you would be fine. But
mm,
if you're not, and I do it because mostly the rifles I've been setting up for clients are hunting, primarily hunting, or the occasional fun long range rig,
yep,
mostly are suppressed, and then something turns up like a 7 mil rem or a 300 win where they've got a brake on it. I don't shoot them as well. I just don't, because especially after you've shot once and you just know you're about to get punched in the face and your sinuses are going to start clearing and everything like that, it's pretty instinctive to just not be quite what you need to be doing behind it. Whereas if it's
hmm,
suppressed and a pretty mild gun anyway, then you're just nice and relaxed and you just know you're going to be able to shoot and cycle and shoot and cycle. So
yeah.
yeah.
Very good, mate. Question about triggers. Are you using single, double, two stage? What sort of setup are you using on
I
them in particular?
on my 308, the which is what I'm going back to, is a single stage Timney.
Yep.
Partly the issue, of course, was because I was left-handed and wanted a left-handed rig. I couldn't get all the different options. Now you can get a Timney Elite, and I don't know if there's Diamond Tex or anything else like that in the left.
Hmm.
On the TAC one was a two-stage, and I did like that because the one thing with the two stage is I was more comfortable going a lot lighter on the trigger,
Yep.
because I really, really don't like super light triggers. It's probably also in part because of what I do for the firearm safety side of things and the firearms licensing side of things. That part of my basic spiel is don't lighten up the trigger, don't lighten up the trigger, don't lighten up the trigger until you're comfortable with it. But your first hunting rifle doesn't need a 1 ounce
Yep.
hyperlight trigger on it that you can't control. So that probably just comes through. But also, like the TACO one, I could have it so light that you could match it on that first stage, pull straight through and not feel that second stage.
Hmm.
And if I was doing lots of dry fire, I'd be in control of it. But give me a couple of days off, and I wouldn't. So I was just
Yeah.
like,
Okay. Yep.
nah. And then I didn't want to hand it on to somebody and have them basically ND or AD or whatever you want it because the thing was so light,
Yeah.
So
Certainly the case.
yeah,
Training people and there's a potential, it's good potential where they're going to spend some time behind your gun or they're lining the gun for a bit of time. Yeah, you want to make sure that they're set up for success for sure.
So, I mean, I've been pushing and also pushing the real idea. I've been focusing on going back onto my trigger press recently and thinking a lot about that. And I like a nice, clean, crisp trigger, but probably not as light as some other people would put their triggers out,
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, very good.
Look, I certainly want to be able to marry my finger to the trigger shoe without any concern of the thing going off. So,
yep. I'm just checking in with the chat here. There's see what else is going on. Talking about that sort of stuff as well. Now I don't know if you've seen the show at all, Kerry, but we do like to show some memes, preferably ones that have been related to the current scenario.
Okay, you're right. Yeah.
So I don't. Have you got?
Let's see that.
Have you got Facebook up close by?
Yes, I do.
Cool. I'm going to flick you the first one. We're going to show the first one up. Now we have a rating system out of alpacas. So it is out of
alpacas.
Alpacas.
I recently had a good discussion. You might be able to tell this. Can you tell the difference between an alpaca and a llama?
Yeah, one's called Owl and the other one's called Lana.
Yeah. Thank you. Good.
Yeah,
great. Okay,
just
cool.
Yeah, that's the last question you ever asked me. All right. Cool. So I'm just going to send you this first one. Now, so we need a rating out of 10 for this particular meme. So if that's come through, let me throw it up on the screen here. This one's a Pac-Man one. Has a little Pac-Man display, and grocery shopping has become a real-life version of Pac-Man. Avoid everyone. Get the fruit and take any route to avoid contact.
Out of what? Out of 5? Out of 10?
Out of 10. Out of 10 alpacas.
Out of 10. I don't know if it's good or sad or whatever, but I'm gonna give it an 8 or 9 just because we are literally managing short trips. And can we get in there? I was having a discussion with my partner this evening about what is going to be the appropriate PPE mask, and do we need do we go on the face mask? Does she take out the full Vader mask? And I've got some chemical warfare filters we could use for it.
Right.
I really wish I had like the old school gas masks and stuff here at the moment, but some proper chemical warfare stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, this is a very true one at the moment.
It's funny, sad is what it is. Yeah,
yeah, not wrong. All right, next one up, coming to you. This one's a little bit more on the rude side. Not too bad though. It's appropriately rude. There we go.
I thought it was something to do about a shaved head or a beard or something.
No, I haven't picked on. Yeah, technically. When you're working from home and have a video conference call. And then for those who are listening, because one thing to announce shortly, but this is it's a guy wearing the full dress suit on the front and isn't wearing pants, and you can see that mirror behind him. For those,
I don't know if I score it too high, does it also indicate I'm not wearing pants either?
Hey, we
really
don't need.
Well, I don't know. I mean, yeah.
Well, you could just say that you relate to this guy currently. We can read into that. Good. Nick in the chat is disputing the alpacas and llamas. Thing is, Nick missed the episode where Emma Stevens voted that we go with alpacas, so it's alpacas.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, Nick.
I just realised I recently realised as a fully grown man, I couldn't really describe the difference between it, so I've got to go do some internet research. But then we had a dragon fruit turn up from the supermarket a couple of weeks ago, and I'd never in my life seen a dragon fruit either. So, hey, the wonders never cease.
All right. So,
yes.
Bear asks, how many alpacas are we going for this one?
For the bear ass, I'm actually worried about how he's standing at full. Well, I was going to say full attention. That's not going to help either. We'll go for a safe 7. We'll go for a safe 7. He's very serious about the whole thing.
Very good. 7 shaved ass alpacas.
7 shaved ass. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Good. Last one coming through to you. This is. I don't know if this has been the case over there, but this has certainly been the case here. It's got a.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know if you saw there was a guy put a video up and he was basically emptying all his guns out of his safes and putting all the toilet rolls down the bottom of the safe.
I did see
and
that.
then closing
Yeah.
the guns on the bed and just like tap the safe and nice and safe on it. We've got a good supply of toilet rolls though. Thank you for asking. We're comfortable
I'm
at
glad.
the moment. But yeah, I again, for the same reason, the first one, I'm going to have to give that a solid. We'll give it a solid 9.
Yeah, this is one of my favourite. This is for those listening. This is Sink's toilet paper rolls, and they've just got those little. I don't know what to call these. These are the little bits that just hang on.
Dags.
It's almost dags, isn't it? It's toilet roll dags. Anyway, and there is who threw these in the trash. There's still meat on these bones. Memes never work on audio. Sorry, guys.
We have an extra game around this household that when it is there, it gets hidden somewhere and see how long it takes someone else to find it. So extra.
A little bit of bonus content. There you go.
Yep.
I'm gonna go 9. 9 desperate alpacas for that one. I think we shall go. Oh, very, very good.
Can I scroll past that guy's ass now? Can I scroll that out of the chat? Or there we go. So just move it away so it's not sitting on my second screen. This is the problem. It's sitting. Anyway.
You've got it saved on Facebook now, so you can check it out anytime you want, I guess.
Oh, thank you. Yes.
You're welcome. Oh, good. All right, guys, any last questions? Chuck them into the chat. Anything you want to know about shooting comps in New Zealand, about Kerry's background in shooting, about anything else like that? 6 meatless alpacas, Nick wrote that last one on. And he's come across to the alpacas, so good of them. Right.
So, a question for you guys over there: Do you actually have shooting mats over there?
Should we? For those not familiar with the story, do you want to relate? This is Bronte's finest moment, isn't it? There
was plenty of great moments, but I think one of the greatest was the absolute failure he did and the simple instruction of rolling up a shooting mat.
Just for those watching, if you're not familiar, I'm involved with the Precision Shooting podcast, and one of the guys on there is Bronte. Bronte spent some time in New Zealand, sort of was back and forth for work for a period of time, caught up with Kerry and shot a comp together or something.
Got him to a comp. It was awesome because you put him in contact with me. He was going to come down. I was just going to take him out to a range or something. But timing wise, it worked that we had a road trip with another 2 of my mates to go down and shoot one of Simon's comps. So it went from, we're going to do a trip out to Simon's to a weekend down doing a shooting. By the way, you're shooting a shooting comp now, Bronte. Congratulations. Here's a gun you've never shot before. And he did well. Oh, this is the other thing.
Yep.
Excuse me. But yeah, I think on the end of the first day or something when we were setting up, I asked him, I think he asked, can you roll up a shooting mat? And he handed this thing to me. And I don't know. Look, the other crazy thing is the shooting mat we're talking about has little arrows on it. So it actually tells you how to roll the thing up. It's like it's got indicators on it.
Okay, good.
You just arrows together roll, but I don't know. It was like a trip of first. So he had never seen rain on it. He shot in the rain.
Yeah.
The weekend was raining, and we end up with a few comps where you were shooting in the rain, which is its own little challenge. He's like, well, that's the first for me. I'm like, yeah, well, nothing. The whole place isn't on fire. That'll be new to you. He was getting photos of all the guys with the suppressors and just wanted to hold a suppressor. I was like, yeah, okay, that's cool. And then the shooting mat incident. So yeah, it was great.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. All right, Nick. I don't know if you talked about a projectile weight. Apparently, Nick asked about projectile weight. Missed that one. Sorry, mate. Hit us up with a question. Scott's asked, "Is there a maximum weight for the rifle?" Scott, that's I guess going to be discipline specific, depending what you
what
you're doing.
Yep.
In a PRS world, no, but. In other things, definitely.
No, I mean, what we have in New Zealand, depending on the comp as well, but a lot of the field shooting we do, which so Simon Gillis, which is Gillis Practical Shooting Competitions, and then Graham, which is the Taranaki Long Range Shooters, of the sort of the groups down there that work together quite a bit. Yep. They will normally have a velocity limit on it or a energy limit, and that's really just to protect the targets.
Yep.
That's what it is. They don't want guys, and there's no point, but they don't want guys turning up with a 338 to shoot a field shoot.
Sure. Because
one, it'll be so heavy, it'll be a pain, and two, you're just going to hammer the targets because some of them will be at 300 meters. Yeah. So there's not normally a limit. Simon likes to often kind of take the approach that you can kind of run whatever you want, but you need it all off the ground at the beginning of the stage.
Yeah.
Which
Gotcha.
comes to plenty of arguments when we're sharing shooting mats or bits and pieces, shooting bags or bits and pieces. But anyway, I get the intent. He's got a real he really likes the practical side. He likes to be able to relate it back to hunting side of things. It's kind of been interesting because I've watched him a little bit get a little bit more gamey on things.
Okay.
And I used to always bug him, I think, because I was bringing in and selling the Armageddon gear bags and the short action precisions and a lot of them, and it was years ago, and now everyone's hitting me up. But back then is when the business was trying to get going, but it wasn't the numbers. But you'd see them all turning up all around these comps, and the Game Changers was always, I think, one of the ones he really hated guys bringing out because he's like, no one would ever take that hunting. But one of the squads who won the overall, the guys who won one of the overall squad comps, I was talking to them about it, and they took their Game Changers out tar hunting in South Island. I loved them for it.
Yeah.
It was also eye-opening for me because I didn't think people would, but they're like, no, these things are fantastic for this stuff.
Yeah, we do a lot of spotlighting here, shooting varmints and stuff under spotlight and on the back of the ute or in the window. Game Changers are sort of the way to go. They're really, really good for that.
So, yeah, I mean, a lot of stages, I suppose we kind of, instead of the guy and us as well and the guys down south, instead of going, you can't have a weight or these things, we try and set the up to favour a particular style of gun and then kind of make it clear. It's like we're not shooting over a kilometre every shot, so you don't need these big monster cartridges. So there'll be a stage that is maybe close to a kilometre. Most of them are closer. It's weird positions. You want something that you can handle and you know how it works, basically.
Absolutely. Nick has asked if you do you prefer having heavy for weight projectiles or lighter and faster, sort of i.e. a 130 grain versus a 147 in a 6.5 or a 190 versus a 230 in a 300 Win Mag. Do you have a preference on those, or do you application?
I wrote an article a while ago, and that compared, when I got the TAC A1, I did an ammo comparison, and at the time it was a factory ammo, so it was what it was a comparison between the ELDMs, which was you could get it in a 147, a 140, and a 125, I think.
You can get a 100, 120, 123, 130, 140, 143, and 147.
Okay, so this was the factory box load.
Oh, okay.
So you're right. Yeah,
123,
so the match,
I think. Yeah, is the common one.
So I was interested and did with that and did accuracy testing, compared the velocity, put all the charts up and everything. I guess it comes down to looking at the competition you're shooting and where is the bulk of it. Because to me, the lighter projectile, which was a bit snappier, but the recoil was a bit more manageable. I was quicker back on target. It was just felt a bit, not easier, but just a little bit less recoil to shoot with. But you do lose some of the ballistic advantage of a heavier projectile out further. So it's weighing up if you're really getting to that point of where are most of the competitions that you're actually shooting, and not setting your rifle up to that one stage that might be a far shot. Because I do see a lot of guys will do that, and a lot of hunters as well, as they have this thought that they might one day take a long range hunting shot. So they set their entire rig up for that, but 99.9% of it is not in that environment. So you're kind of like, well, why have you optimized for something you do 1% of the time? How's that for a non-answer?
I love it.
I specialize in those.
You get into politics.
Who
knows? Is there any comps?
Great country to get into gun-related politics at the moment.
Great, it's perfect. Any comps you'd recommend to any travelling Australians to head over there for?
Yeah, again, depending on the North or South Island where you're going to get to. If you're in the North Island, like I say, look out for those Facebook pages, Simon's Gillis Practical or the Taranaki. Those are the boys who are probably the most active in the Central North. And then it just depends. You just kind of have to read on the specific event. They have slightly different flavors. Some of them are more hunting orientated, so it's shorter stuff. Something's a little bit more stretched out. It just depends. Then down in the South Island, if you can get down to Sparrowhawk, it's a range facility down there.
Yep.
And even if they're not running a comp, they often have long range like testing or touring days down there. And Nick and Sam and the boys down there are great for that.
Yeah,
and if you time it right, you might even have the occasional special guest that turns up who's down training, say, the New Zealand military, and might have a day to do an extra day of training somewhere down there. That's happened in the past as well.
Fantastic. Yeah, cool.
So, and I'm pretty sure that's happening again. Well, actually, now who knows? But I'm pretty sure that's happening again this year.
Yeah. And no doubt at some point it will happen. It will happen.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, through the challenge I've had through the podcast and stuff I've done with the guys over the last couple of years, talking to the guys over stateside, they all want to come down to New Zealand. It's just figuring out how to make it viable financially and everything as well. Not that they're down here to make a killing, but they just need to cover costs and stuff. So anyway, sideline.
No, spot on, mate. We get sidelined all the time. In fact, it's pretty much the title of the show. Fantastic, mate. Well, thank you very much for coming on, Kerry. That's awesome. There's some comments there. Alpine long range match, mountain challenge, all that sort of stuff would be good comps to get involved with. There's a few New Zealanders in the chat, I think, providing some answers, which is excellent as well. It's good to see. Now, how do we find you? Where can we follow you and keep up with all your details of what's happening, be it live gaming or stuff?
Okay, the easiest one at the moment that I'm probably focusing on and feeding other things out is the Bloke. So, excuse me, the bloke.co.nz. It's quite a burpy beer, line read, I have noted. Anyway, so the bloke.co.nz is the best way. There's a Facebook page, there's an Instagram page. I've never really done the YouTube side of things, so most of the live stuff I do through Facebook at the moment. But probably right now as well, the bloke.co.nz is a good option because that's where it's got a lot of my articles that I've been doing for years are all sitting on there. Yeah,
and you've got stuff on survival and all those sort of techniques and stuff, which we didn't even get into this time, but that's just opportunity at some other time to have another chat.
Yeah, well, that's it. And it's a good there. If spend some time on there. If guys actually start digging through, the problem is, I suppose, there's enough stuff there that I think a lot of it gets missed. So I encourage guys, if they can spend some time, they can kind of dig down and find all kinds of stuff in there. So,
Fantastic, mate. Fantastic. Well, thanks for coming on the show. We will no doubt catch up with you again shortly, and all the best for your lockdown. Make the most of it, I guess, and continue to game and do whatever else you can do.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the plan is as well, is like I say, get out of lockdown, get this new rig built, and then we're slightly planning, probably be a family trip, but I can excuse the family trip to Aussie by probably doing some shooting over there, maybe get to a comp or some training over there as well. So that's on the list because I am quite keen to get over there as well and catch up with some of you guys and people in person.
Fantastic. It'll happen. It'll happen in due course, mate. And any comp you want to get into, we'll make it work. That'll be awesome. Fantastic, Kerry. Thank you very much, guys. Thanks for watching in the chat and chatting away. Nick's yelling at me to say like the video. Give Kerry some additional confidence. And although Emma is winning that race at the moment, but anyway.
What? I need to go read the comments.
Emma's video. Emma was on the other night, and she begged for likes. And she's all over it. So anyway, the guys, thanks very much for doing this. Share it. We're going to put some little snippets of various shows and bits and pieces, either fun or interesting or knowledgeable. See how we go on the last one, and we're going to put them out there. So share them around. If this show is useful for people to watch, we'd love to have them on board. We'll be back tomorrow night with Ben Jarrett, the Long Gun Project man himself, and we'll be talking about filming and making videos and some stuff that you could do in this downtime, as well as what you could do in future with all that sort of stuff. So looking forward to that. Again, thanks to Projectile Warehouse, you can save 5% with the code ID Live 5, ID LIVE number 5, and check out the new website on there. Let me know of any problems because we still need to keep it going. Huge website. Took forever. Anyway, guys, thanks very much for being involved. Thanks for chatting away, and we will catch up with you guys again tomorrow.
Hey, pretty real.